Today we check out a new game just released on Steam called Shards of the Realm. And we start right off the bat with a warning about the newest version of Unreal being used, and the character creation instantly makes me wonder why people are so hyped about Unreal, as the cleric maze looks absolutely oversaturated and ugly and makes me miss all the old games. You can choose between the 4 classics: cleric, mage, warrior and ranger, and I decided to actually go with the cleric on this with a subclass called the Dark Priest. Because healing is overrated, but I'll get back to that later. Trying hairstyles and beards just reaffirms my belief that Unreal Engine use just kicked us back 20 years in graphics. But I decided to make a thirst trap cleric that women and men alike will swoon over, called Swoon. You can choose 4 followers, and obviously clerics are holier than thou creatures, so don't need anything but more clerics to keep telling each other their religious beliefs are justified. The tutorial screens are a bit aggressive and ugly, and the group needs to clear out a fortress of ghost dogs to claim it. And the combat is not hard, but my light druids have a starlight attack that adds an AoE debuff, and my dark druids have a torture attack that applies at the end of the enemy's turn, so that is not ideal for damage. Luckily, clubbering with a mace always works. The follower druids are randomly assigned, so I have 2 light and 3 dark druids, and that's at least a decent mix of defense and offense. The fortress interface can hold some buildings, and a simple workbench is available where you can assign someone with a decent artisan skill. Then under production, basic mining tools can be made, which we need to actually mine. Taking a rest really changed the game, as in daytime the game looked much more appealing. Walking on the map, however, switched insanely fast between day and night, a bit too fast for my taste, as it visually takes a full day to walk past 4 trees. And there are many types of gathering spots to be found in game, and some are guarded by monsters which must be defeated, especially if you have some guys crafting and so. Your beginner party will struggle totally, also because the healers cannot do damage, just buff and debuff. But they do have a nice overwatch where they can reduce accuracy when in range. And the next battle caused the party to level up, and the dark clerics get a skill point and a feature point. Since they need to do damage and tank as well, they get an aura to do continuous damage, and my main guy gets a restorative mace strike, which can heal 5 to 15% depending on the debuff on the target. Something the other clerics can give very well. There are also options to multi-class, but that is of course for the weak. This does help me see the skills of the lesser classes and may cause me to reconsider one specific class, the Ranger Spearman, because they also have Aura of the Void, so they know from which source of power they are tapping. So the second Dark Priest thus became a Dark Priest Spearman. Now the Light Priests need MP, as they run out of mana really fast when healing, so Battle Meditation is a must for the healer at least. One of them becoming a healer and the other one a debuffer. And the healer gets AoE heal and Battle Meditation, while the debuffer gets starlights that actually do damage, and also an aura of empowerment. The main problem now is, what if the starlights cost MP now, but he runs out of MP, can he still cast? But that's all later problems. Since this part of the game is, by the way, very awesome, the amount of builds and spells is very large. Since 2 guys are very wounded, they cannot recover and need to go back to the castle to heal. Healing takes very long when taking a rest, but you just need to get above the wound threshold and then you can heal while traveling as well. A bit to the south there's a little town and you can trade goods. Since adhesive mass is important to make, for example, gathering tools, those are a good candidate to buy, but money may be needed to recruit more troops later as well. You can also build buildings there to help them expand, at least one of them, starting with the Excel's Tavern. But most importantly, of course, hire a companion. Unfortunately, a non-cleric, but at least it's a spearman. So back at the fortress. For a laboratory, animal hides and fiber plants are needed, all simple resources and easily gatherable. But of course the gathering tool will be needed for this to increase the chance to find with at least 30%. There's also a second item that can be found with just 5% chance in most resource spots as well. Unfortunately, the healer is still very hurt and is not capable of healing herself outside combat. You can also just simply leave that one in the fortress for a while and bring another with you. If you gather too long, you will be encumbered, and when severely encumbered you move slowly, but the game also keeps pausing for some reason, which is very annoying, so you just have to spam right click or switch to max speed to get to a place to dump it. At level 3 you can also add 5 attributes, well at least if you level 1 subclass, else you first have to get features and skills for the other subclass, or just go with the one class. The Dark Priests get accuracy for chance to hit, strength for damage and constitution for survivability, and this will also help them carry more. While the Light Priests get intelligence for more MP, perception for AoE radius and dexterity for movability. Monsters often drop a carcass, which are quite good for selling for now since money becomes a problem. With the laboratory finally built and the first research done, it's now possible to make advanced items which will help fix the money problem, but another problem will be that towns will only have a limited amount of money, so you have to wait for them to regain that. As you grow stronger, fighting becomes easier and enemies can miss spells relatively often, especially with Starlight on them, but melee attacks, they pretty much always hit, even with Starlight, while you still miss a lot. This makes fights a lot harder, but regardless, you will start to get the hang of it. Fighting is done pretty well, you can take cover and flank, melee attacks will hit enemies trying to get away or run past them, and range will overwatch anything coming into range. Even when severely wounded, a good overwatch can really help, and the key in this is positioning. If they can't see you, they will try to run past you, and even melee can do free attacks. That works also even better on casters, because they will always try to run away, so you'll get a free attack. With all these tactics, besides having multiple people at very low health, you can keep fighting and try to stay safe. The game desperately needs some polishing in the following. There's a lot of typos, especially in the research. Characters look very bland, except the humans, like they are ghosts. Like as soon as the skin color is the same as the armor, it just is one mess. Tutorial is the first thing people see, so need to be in a proper style. And in the victory screen, weapons look cool, but when creating characters, it looks awful. On the world map, the game keeps pausing randomly, and it's extremely annoying, especially when having some weight in your inventory. It reminds me a bit of Legends of Valeria. It has so much good management, but looks a bit rough around the edges. It is funny, the longer I play, the better the graphics become, but at first it looked rather bad, but slowly the detail starts kicking in, mainly during the day. And I don't like the night at all. It's really bad. I also had a bug that I had multiple productions to the queue, but the first item never finished. Then the research for basic production is finally finished, and now the town can really start to grow. One of the buildings is the Pool of Destinies, where you can respec your characters, and a farm to help get some extra materials. And also a workshop to get more production. The fight for the teleporter is the first real fight against humanoids and is more fun. Unfortunately, none of the armor they are wearing or weapons couldn't be looted. The loot system also can be improved. Nothing seems to be able to be gained through fighting, only through crafting. But it will enable you to teleport to factions deeper in the game who can give requests to gain reputation. This is also the next quest, to gain reputation with other factions, but just teleporting yourself up and forth won't do, as each teleporter has a cooldown. So you have to use the roads with the goods and do all that within 15 days, so it may be wise to have a decent stockpile before doing so. This doesn't work at all because you can't see what they want at that time, so you first have to go there, you have to check what they want, then you have to either teleport back, but the teleporter will go on cooldown, or you have to walk on the road, which takes many days. So either way, once you're there, they already changed what they need. Dying will lose you people, and your first character dying just left me stuck in the combat map after the victory screen, so that's something to address. And I also think when you get attacked or ambushed, the enemies are not together or even with your back against you, which is weird. Your fortress can actually be attacked when waiting, and monsters will get stronger over time. There's much more in this game and also much more to come, but for this review it ends here, else there won't be much for you to explore. This game has bags of potentials and lots of things to do, but the graphics are a bit dark and chaotic for me. A bit more saturation and lighting will go a long way. Also, the constant day-night switches on the map, it's not ideal. Other than that, it's guaranteed to give you challenging battles and increasing difficulty, especially if you can enter the dungeons, and therefore I do recommend at least following and wishlisting the game and checking it out once it stabilizes a bit. Thank you for watching, and see you next week when we discover another hidden game you may want to know all about. Don't forget to subscribe and get notified for your weekly discovery.